So welcome, Elaine, back to the Zoom room again for another Art of Letting Go live session. So we're gonna, as usual, dive into our email for today with a daily quote, and that'll lead us nicely into the insert, as I call it, on what is the real world. So we'll do that, and the lesson, and then there's a couple of paragraphs of text from the Manual for Teachers to answer the question, are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers or perfect love's teachers? Okay, so let's jump in, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, so you can read it. Read that quote, which is a very short, sweet one today.
Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. So, you need to have some inspiration, inspired ideas, but so much of it is, it's a lot of work to make things actually work in this world. It's not that difficult to have ideas, but to actually put the ideas into action and make them work, that's the perspiration side, which takes 99% of the time. So the quote's from Thomas Edison. You've probably heard of him. He's a very famous American inventor, probably the most famous inventor, I think, of possibly of all time. Invented, amongst many other things, the first easily usable light bulb, the telephone, electric power generation, distribution to homes, factories on a mass scale. So that the whole electricity system, he really laid the foundation for that 150 years ago. So what he's saying, seemingly states the obvious, but as we've learned from studying A Course in Miracles, the obvious truth has been obscured by the ego. It needs to be stated and often repeated over and over for the truth to be revealed. This is where the 99% perspiration that Edison's referring to comes in. So he had 2,332 patents filed around the world. That's an enormous number for one person, isn't it? Given that some people only do one or two, they're lucky in their whole life. A record that wasn't surpassed until 70 years after his death. About 600 US patents that were unfinished or rejected. So yeah, of course, he built a team to help him. In fact, his company was the start of General Electric, which became a massive corporate in the US. He was the founder of General Electric. But he's personally involved in all these projects. So he would have done a massive amount of work himself. His mission was to help improve the quality of people's lives through his inventions. Right? So it wasn't just, oh, well, I want to make money. He wanted to really improve people's lives. And his goal was to create at least one small invention every week and a large society changing one every 6 months. It's quite an extraordinary goal, right? Oh, well, I'll just change society every 6 months. So to most people, the idea of changing the world at all is just too big to even contemplate. So to consciously intend to change the world every 6 months and actualize that intention through work and organization. He had pioneered the modern corporate research and development process, built a team of talented people dedicated to developing new products. So he was visionary, he was inspired, he was self-disciplined, but he was also self-disciplined or perspired. Visionary or inspired, self-disciplined or perspired. That's a powerful combination. So visionary, inspiration, not that hard to have great ideas, blue sky thinking, they call it. But then to actually make those ideas work requires the self-discipline and the perspiration as well. And it's quite a rare combination to find both in someone. So it's a powerful combination that can help you achieve the most important goal in life, which is not progress through technological innovation that Edison dedicated his life to, but actually just being genuinely happy and sharing your happiness with other people through your words and actions in your own unique way. That's your goal, to be happy and to extend that happiness. And that's what Yeshua calls your special function in A Course in Miracles, a task that only you can do and will be guided and supported to accomplish if you're willing to undertake it. This is what Joseph Campbell, who conceptualized the hero's journey, called following your bliss. That's the essence of being in a state of flow. You haven't yet found your special function, higher purpose, or bliss. You may well be wondering what you can do about it. Well, you'll do well to take Charles Glassman's advice. We looked at this a couple of days ago, but I thought it was worth repeating. So if you can read that quote.
Happiness often relies on one character trait, self-discipline.
It's an interesting thought. You say, well, everyone's got ideas about happiness. Oh, well, if and when I meet a woman or man of my dreams, I'll be happy. If and when I have lots of money, I'll be happy. I have a better job, a better career, a better house. There's many things that people set up in their minds. But very few would go, oh, actually, it's just self-discipline. That's the key. I have to discipline myself to be happy consistently. In a world that's designed to trigger you to be unhappy, then that would make logical sense, wouldn't it? The self-discipline to avoid that temptation of getting triggered is then absolutely necessary. And the self-discipline to let go comes down to, again, letting go, and that requires a self-discipline. Well, it's not easy to let go. It requires mental and emotional patience, persistence, effort to let go. Much easier to get attached and just let your mind blow in the breeze of the world and be influenced by the world's currents. Much harder to stay firm in the storm. The storm is blowing. You've got a storm around you, and you stand still as the big tree, the oak tree, rooted in the ground, not swayed, not moved. That's self-discipline, isn't it? And not allowing your mind to be caught up in the winds of change that blow through the world all the time. So you're still wondering exactly how you do this, you don't need to look further in the messages, the resources I emailed you, because each of them contains mind training lessons, sections of the manual for teachers. Now we're on to forward was the text. There's meditations, there's breath breaks, so there's material to discipline yourself. You read, you listen to the meditations and the discussion sessions. That is a form of self-discipline. You're consciously choosing to spend your time in a certain way rather than another way, and it's self-directed. So instead of just vegging out in front of the TV and watching, you're actually exercising your mind to create a conscious experience for yourself that is more connected to your source. And if you keep doing that, well, it will lay a solid foundation for experiencing sustainable happiness in time, finding and following your bliss in life. So to begin or to continue laying that foundation, here's today's mind training lesson. And we'll have a look at the insert as well. So a happy outcome to all things is sure. Nice message. Happy outcome to all situations is certain. It's the translation. So even if things seem to be going pear-shaped, which they do from time to time in this world, actually a happy outcome is always certain. Why is that the case? I mean, why is a happy outcome always certain?
Because you're in your true self.
Oh, because you can always let go, can't you? You know, the whatever's happening, you know, if you understand forgiveness or letting go, you can always let it go and find happiness. So therefore, happy outcome is certain. Not because of what happens on the level of form. Oh well, you know, it's always gonna play out favorably. No, not necessarily, but I can always choose happiness no matter what seems to happen. So that's why it's certain. It's a subtle point, that isn't it? But an important one. Because people might go, well, this is just, you know, ridiculous. This is Pollyanna thinking. You know, life doesn't work that way. You know, it's happiness is never certain, and you know, you never know what outcome you're going to get. So how can you say that? Yeah, because it's taking you deeper and saying, but it's certain because you can always perceive the situation differently by choosing to let it go. So therefore, a happy outcome to all situations is certain because you have the willingness and the ability to let it go. Make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into today's lesson. Maybe we should, given we sort of started the lesson, let's do the lesson and then we'll reverse it and do the insert after that. How about that? Okay, so if you want to read that in the original and the alternative, a happy outcome to all things is sure.
A happy outcome to all things is sure. A happy outcome to all situations is certain.
Yeah, so as I said, you know, it's certain because you can always let go. That's why it's certain, which is a subtlety that the untrained mind might not know. You know, someone might look at that and go, well, that's just unrealistic because nothing's certain in this world and you never know what's going to happen. You know, things don't always go your way on the level of form at all. But happy outcome is still certain because you can always let it go and you can find that underlying happiness. So that's really where Yeshua's pointing us with this quote. Okay, so let's see what else he has to say. If you want to read paragraph 1 in the original and then the alternative, kindly.
God's promises make no exceptions. Perfect love's promises make no exceptions. And he guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. And it guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Yet it is up to us when this is reached, how long we let an alien will appear to be opposing his. Yet it is up to me when this is reached and how long I let an alien awareness appear to be opposing its.
Just pause it there. I'm just going to make it first person, I think. It is up to me when I reach this. And how long I let an alien awareness appear to be opposing it. Yeah. Okay. So carry on. Number 4.
And while we think this will is real, we will not find the end he has appointed as the outcome for all problems we perceive, all trials we see, in every situation that we meet. And while I think this awareness is real, I will not find the end it has appointed as the outcome of all problems I perceive, all trials I experience, and every situation that I am in. Yet is the ending certain, and the same, yet the ending is certain. For God's will is done in earth and in heaven. For perfect love's awareness is both on earth and in the state of pure formless awareness.
It's
We will.
present. So it's saying it's everywhere. This awareness is not just in heaven. It's everywhere. As Yeshua said, to his disciples, he said the kingdom of heaven is spread out upon the earth, but you don't see it. So it's the underlying subtle awareness that is covered over. Most people are not aware of it because their thinking mind is too active. Okay, number 7.
Yep, we will seek and we will find according to his will, which guarantees that our will is done. I will seek and I will find according to its awareness, which guarantees that my awareness is complete.
Oh. So read that from the top in the alternative.
Perfect love's promises make no exceptions, and it guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Yet it is up to me when I reach this and how long I let an alien awareness appear to be opposing it. And while I think this awareness is real, I will not find the end it has appointed as the outcome of all problems I perceive, all trials I experience in every situation that I am in. Yet the ending is certain, for perfect love's awareness is present both on earth and in the state of pure formless awareness. I will seek and I will find according to its awareness, which guarantees that my awareness is complete.
So what's he saying in this one?
Well, there's no exception. We are either in the joy of our true awareness or we're in this alien awareness, and it all depends on how long we want to recognize this. And so once we're finally coming to the end, we'll know which awareness we're in by it'll be complete once we are experiencing joy.
Yeah, so I've translated God's will as love's awareness. Perfect love's awareness, which I think makes it much more accessible, doesn't it? Because what is God's will? I think people really struggle with that. I always struggle. Like, what does that mean? God's will for my life. So some, power up there has a will for my life, telling me what to do. Really? So, whereas if it's my own awareness, which is just pure and formless and innocent, whole, complete, coming from that state of mind, the thoughts I have, the emotions I have, the decisions I make, the words I speak, the actions I take will be different. So then that becomes God's will. That awareness directs your thoughts, your words, your actions, and guides your whole life. That's a lot more understandable, I think, and gettable. So, okay, it's my own deepest awareness that via the Christ, the true self, and the Holy Spirit can be translated into some meaningful thoughts, words, actions, decisions in this world. That's the whole point. The pure formless awareness gets channeled, directed in this world by the other parts of the Holy Trinity, the Christ, the true self, and the Holy Spirit, to help you to reinterpret the dream. And that's a very important function while you seem to be here. Okay, so anything else?
That's clear.
Well, seek and find according to its awareness, which guarantees that my awareness is complete. So I'm really seeking what I already have. You see why you can't fail? Why this lesson spiritually is true, because it's always there. You can't fail to find what's already there in your awareness. You just covered it over. You've obscured it, denied it, ignored it, rejected it, attacked it, done all kinds of things, but it's still there. And so it can be brought back with, what we call spiritual practices. You become mindful of this awareness. You become aware of this awareness through these practices, which is all the practices are designed to do. The practices themselves are not the answer. They just help you to connect with the deeper awareness of what you truly are. Okay, so look at number 2 then.
We thank you, Father, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. I thank you, my source, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Help us not interfere and so delay the happy endings you have promised us for every problem that we can perceive, for every trial we think we still must meet. And help me not interfere and so delay the happy endings you have promised me for every problem that I can perceive and for every trial I think I still must meet.
Yeah, so only happy outcomes in the end, because in the end, I can always let go. It doesn't matter what the trial is in this world. I can let go and I can find that underlying happiness. Sometimes, people have to go through the most tremendous trials, really, really difficult to find, that the happiness beyond that. And if they do that, they're always grateful for the trial. They go, well, I wouldn't change it because that has awoken me into who I really am. Without that trial and that adversity, I wouldn't have had to let go and really dig deep and find something deeper that was obscured. So, in adversity, it helps you to find that deeper self. That's really the message. And so you can still find happiness no matter what's happening on the level of form. People might say, well, what about all the sickness and the pain and the suffering and the death in all of its forms? Like, how can you be happy with all of that going on in this world? The answer is you can't if you focus on that. But if you let it go and find a deeper happiness that underlies it, that's not affected by any of that, then yes, absolutely you can. In fact, it's inevitable. Once you let go of your thoughts and emotions about it. It's inevitable that you will, because that's the truth. That's always, always been there. Just you weren't sure of it. You weren't aware of it. Okay, so yeah, any other thoughts on the lesson? It's a nice. I think I'm enjoying these. The second part of the workbook, especially this year, because it's so short and sweet. Just
Yeah,
like okay,
very
there you
positive.
go. Very digestible. There it's a little package that he gives you and goes, okay, there, go contemplate that. It's
Mhm.
always the same lesson, really, but there's a different angle in each one.
Mm, mm.
So perfect to meditate on, which we can do now, or we can leave it until the end. What do you prefer?
I don't mind, yeah. Do it now.
Okay. All right, let's do it now. So a moment to get the recording going. Okay. So this is meditation on lesson 292, today's workbook lesson. So just to start with, making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. You close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Range the sphincter muscle. It's a muscle used to contract the flow of urine, or squeeze the last drops out. It locks the energy in, and you feel this warm wave of energy running up your spine. It's a little tingling wave. Or into your heart center, breathing in the very essence of love and happiness. Feel it in your heart. You can put one hand on your heart as you inhale it all. And draw it up into the crown of your head. And this warm wave of energy riding up the spine, rising up the spine. Pause at the top of the inhale, take another maximal inhale breath. And just scan your mind. Just noticing thoughts, emotions, any related body sensations, particularly anything that doesn't feel good. You've got a situation that's worrying you, maybe some anxiety, worry, maybe there's a bit of frustration, irritation, anger, anything that's troubling you, just hone in on that and breathing into it. So breathe in, you're breathing in the very essence of happiness and say a happy outcome to all situations. He is certain, including this one. happy outcome to all situations is sure. And so just exhale and let go, blowing all of that unhappiness out, the breeze of your breath. In the nothingness that it really is. And blowing it away like a dark cloud or black smoke. Leaving you, it's going, gone. All the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest here. So now breathing in, and listen to me as you pause and you hold the breath. Listen to these words. I'm going to read you from the alternative translated version of this lesson. And then when I pause, you exhale and speak the words as affirmations. So let's try that. Breathing in. Hold the breath briefly. Listen. So Yeshua says, perfect love's promises make no exceptions. Perfect love's promises make no exceptions. Repeat that. Breathe in again. Every time you breathe in, imagine you breathing in the very essence of life itself. The divine life. It guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. So breathe that joy in. That's infusing every pore of your skin, every cell, every muscle, every fiber of your being is in joy. And he is only joy. He is the final outcome. So that guarantees, perfect love guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. The outcome of every situation. Yet it is up to me when I reach this. Happy state. And how long I let an alien awareness appear to be opposing it. Say that to yourself as you exhale. It's up to me when I reach this happy state. How long I let an alien awareness appear to be opposing. Perfect love. Breathing in again. And while I think this awareness is real, I think this awareness is real. I will not find the end. It is appointed. I think this awareness is real. I will not find the end. It is appointed as the outcome of all problems I perceive, all trials I experience, and every situation that I'm in. Breathe out as you speak those words. Yet the ending is certain. Breathe out as you speak those words. And again. For perfect love's awareness, He is present both on earth and state of pure formless awareness. For perfect love's awareness is present both on earth and in the state of pure formless awareness. So I will seek and I will find, according to its awareness, which guarantees that my awareness is complete, not sometime in the future, still to come, but right now. I will seek. It's a very powerful statement of intent. I will seek and I will find, according to perfect love's awareness, which guarantees that my own awareness is complete. Original was God's will, but God's will is just talking about this fundamental awareness. Then breathing in again, deep breath in. Say, I thank you, my source, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Thank you, my source, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Exhale the truth of that, speak that. Help me not to interfere, so delay the happy endings you have promised me. For every problem that I can perceive and every trial, I think I still must meet. Breathing in. And exhale, speak the words. Help me not to interfere and so delay the happy endings you have promised me. Happy endings for every problem. So you promised me happy endings for every problem that I can perceive and every trial I think I still must meet. And so it is. Exhale the truth of that. Feel So just sinking inwards, quieting the mind. Just breathe, observe the breath flowing in and out through your nostrils. Focus the attention on the breath and subtle sensations of the breath. So there's really nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. You just breathe, relax, and be still. And surrender into that stillness. Surrender into the still, calm, quiet place within you where your true awareness, perfect love's awareness, and yours meet. And you're one with that ultimate awareness. And you experience it as yours. And then you can truly say, you give thanks for the truth of a happy outcome to all situations is there. It's true. And just feel into that, going beyond the words, going beyond thoughts and concepts. And Yeshua says at some point in the course, forget this course, forget my words, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God. In other words, into this awareness, into direct experience of this awareness that is in your own awareness. That's the process. So just observe the breath, sinking deeper and deeper, each breath into the stillness, the calm, quiet, peaceful state of awareness that is your natural state, your true awareness, and rest here. Completely happy and contented and peaceful. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about for the next couple of minutes of deep, peaceful silence. And so if any thoughts come in, seemingly disturb this deeply peaceful awareness, just notice them, observe them casually, without attachment, and just be willing to let them go. Remind yourself that the happy outcome to all situations is certain. So you can just let them go, and then the happy outcome reveals itself. It's that simple. So breathe in happiness, the essence of happiness, which is love. It's a very calm, clear, peaceful awareness. Enter into that state. And the blocks to that state, blocks the awareness of love's presence, as Yeshua calls it, you notice them and just blow them away. A happy outcome is sure, because I can let this go. And once I've let it go, then what remains will be my true happy state and nature, which is loving awareness. You are that loving awareness and nothing else. So blow everything else away. Imagine it's like a dark cloud or black smoke leaving you, going, gone. Pull the stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in this deep, peaceful, connected state. For another minute or two of deep silence. And so just coming back, gently bring your attention back. That was deep state of awareness. And back into the body, and the breath, and to the senses and the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. We're going to see how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And you pause at the top of the inhale and you smile. You scan your mind for any thoughts and emotions going on, particularly any unhappy ones. And if there's anything there, remind yourself that happy outcome to all things, to every situation is certain. And you let it go. Exhale, blow it out. Let it go with the breeze of your breath. The nothingness that it really is. Going, gone. Notice how the air flows out, chest and the stomach suck back in. Weight of your body pressing down into the chair. Feet touching the ground. Notice all these subtle sensations. Bring yourself back into the body gently this way. Breathe in again. Notice the subtle flow of air in through your nostrils. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Smell in your nose. And notice what you're hearing, the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, surrendered state of mind, without illusions, showing you the truth is true. And so it is. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. Look around for a minute, just observing objects in the room around you. In this very calm, detached state of mind, so you don't name or judge or label anything, just observe it, the awareness. Notice that this happiness, underlying state of happiness, is always there. Doesn't matter what you perceive. Doesn't matter whether your eyes are closed or open, so you can try closing your eyes or opening your eyes. Notice that that happiness is still there, whether your eyes are closed or open, or irrespective of whichever object you look at. Your eyes randomly just rest on another object for a few seconds. Notice that state of awareness and close your eyes, connect with it. Perhaps you might find it's a little bit deeper when you close your eyes because you withdraw the visual sense, but I'll try opening your eyes. Notice that really nothing's changed. It's the same awareness. So do that for a few objects, just very casually for a few seconds at a time, opening your eyes, closing your eyes, connecting with this deeper awareness. And in this way, you teach yourself that that awareness is always there. That awareness is your true nature, and it's always accessible to you. And you teach yourself to stay in that awareness, which is then to be a contact with God, your own higher or true awareness for forever. So that brings us to the end of the meditation, the first part of the session. So let's go have a look at today's insert. Okay, so let's take a look at insert 8 we're on, which is a teaching on what is the real world. So an answer to the question, what is the real world? Do you want to read that, Elaine?
Yeah. The real world is a symbol like the rest of what perception offers. The real world is a symbol like the rest of what perception offers.
I think you just read in the alternative. We've translated it before.
Yeah, oh yeah. The real world is a symbol like the rest of what perception offers. Yet it stands for what is opposite to what I made. I see my world through eyes of fear, and it brings the witnesses of terror to my mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes. Letting go blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found.
Okay, what's he saying in that one? Summary?
Just letting us know the real world is a symbol like the rest of perception offers, but it's the opposite of what we've made. So we're seeing the eyes as the separate self is in fear and suffering and terror. And we see witnesses to confirm that. But the real world can't see any of this. It's impossible. Cannot be
The real
found
world is symbolic of heaven. It's that intermediary state. We looked at this diagram many times, but it frames it quite nicely. So we'll do it again. This Holy Trinity diagram. The real world is the world perceived from the perspective of Christ or your true self. So you have true perceptions of Christ's vision of all the people, things, places, events, circumstances, and situations, and all experiences that seem to happen. Perceived from the state of mind of oneness, knowing that there's only one self, there's really only one awareness. Now that perceives very differently from a separated awareness, which is what the ego is. So the real world, it becomes the bridge. It's when you raise yourself up into your true self, you have this enlightened perception of the world. It's the kind of halfway house, almost like if you're climbing a mountain, think of going to Everest. This is spiritually speaking, and full enlightenment is Everest. Well, you go to base camp. They don't just do it all in one go. They set up a base camp, and then from there, they go again. So you kind of get halfway up Everest, and then you have base camp, and then so in the same way, this is setting up your base camp. You're still in the world, but you're not of it because you're identifying with the true self. Your perceptions are changed. Your mind is quiet. You find peace and happiness increasingly, permeating through all of your perceptions. And that is the precursor. That's the necessary precursor to heaven. You're not going to go straight to heaven without finding the true self and true perceptions first. So that's his methodology. And the real world is just when we perceive this world in the red box, the world of time and space and duality, but when we perceive it from the perspective of our one self, with the Holy Spirit and the Christ guiding those perceptions, true self, and then perceives the real world. So the real world is the perceptual counterpart of heaven, prepares us for the state of pure formless awareness of perfect love that is completely beyond perception. So it's still symbolic because it involves perception, but it's pointing us away. It's taking us out of perception. It's a necessary, step in the right direction. Because how are you going to get, the gap would be too great otherwise. How are you going to get from totally identified with form and your body and time and space and all experiences that seem to happen in time and space to a pure formless awareness of perfect love in which there is no form and there's no time or space? So it's a huge seeming chasm between those two states of awareness. Okay, so Happy with number one. Let's go to number two then.
Yes. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought, reflected in my world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle which my world contains. The real world shows a world perceived differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. There is nothing but rest there, and there are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing there remains beyond letting go. And the sights are gentle, only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has released itself.
So what's he saying in that one?
Well, in the real world, there's a counterpart for any unhappy thoughts that we may have, and a sure correction for any sounds of battle. And in this world, there's no cries of pain or sorrow. Nothing there remains beyond letting go. And the sights are gentle. So it's all
So
happy.
if you could just let go of all of that pain and suffering and drama that the ego likes to create, and you rise above, he actually, at some point in the text, I think he says you rise above the battleground. So above the battleground, above this dualistic world of time and space, as shown here. When you raise yourself up into Christ awareness, the true self, you're above the battleground and you perceive everything from that vantage point, as though you got a helicopter or a drone or something. You're just flying above, the carnage that's going on. Let's say there was a battle going on. You floating high above. It's like, well, it's not really affecting you. You just look down on it, all of it, from a higher awareness that's unaffected. Well, that's what he's trying to train us to do with all of these mind training lessons. So just overlook, those cries of pain and sorrow, whatever the drama the ego's cooked up. The one interpretation of it is that it's not true. It's not real. And why are you valuing what is not real? It's such a simple point, isn't it? So it's so simple, really, in essence. It's not real. It just seems to be real. And we've convinced ourselves it's real, and we've got ourselves bound up into the unreality of it. So that's why the letting go is hard, because we're letting go of our default thought system and perceptions and our identity that's been going a long, long time, been reinforced over and over by the world, all the thoughts and emotions in the world. Now Yeshua's saying, okay, give it up. We're like addicts. You look at it a different way. The ego is addicted to this world. It's addicted to its separate self. It's addicted to this world and all the pain and suffering and sickness and death and the drama of this world. And so, we have to wean ourselves off. If you're addicted to something, you have to, gradually let it go and replace it with the addiction with something else, which is exactly what we're doing with this mind training. Every time you let go and you go within and you find that, lovely peace and joy and happiness, you are replacing the ego's thought system with the Holy Spirit's. And then you can only live in a gentle world, because that's what you choose to see. So it's that simple. Only a happy outcome is sure, because that's what you've chosen. Again, it's so simple, isn't it? You go, well, that's obvious.
But not.
And yet it's not. Most of humanity, most people haven't understood that, and they don't live that. But conceptually, you might say, okay, well, yeah, I got to choose to be happy. But then we allow ourselves to be unhappy, to put things in the world to trigger us and make us unhappy, even though we know that principle. This is why
Yeah.
we just need to be reminded over and over. But hang on, it's so simple. Just make the decision, to let go and be happy. And that's what this teaching is all about. He's just reminding us over and over and helping us to become so certain that this is the truth, and then so diligent in our practice of the truth that we can't fail but be happy. We must be happy. And ultimately, when we finally come to lay our body aside, then we've worked out our karma. Our karma's gone. We've let it go. And we can just merge back into God. Whereas, most minds without this kind of mind training, they've still got their karma going on. They've still got all these egoic thoughts, being a separate self, and everything goes with that: guilt and sin and fear and attack and death and murder, as he points out to. This is what need is such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder. Yeah, he states the case quite graphically, doesn't he? Well, me, I don't think of death, attack, and murder. But if you're honest, that's what the ego is always thinking of. Because it is an attack on God, so it's a death wish, and a death wish is murder. You're trying to destroy God and God's extensions, which include yourself. So ultimately, the ego is nuts because it's killing itself. And then, that's why he's saying it's completely insane. This entity has no sanity at all, completely insane, and shouldn't be listened to. All right, so you want to read number 3? What need is such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? We can go from there.
What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it except safety, love, and joy? What can it choose to be condemned, and what can it judge against? The world it perceives arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it perceives, for it is kind, and so it only perceives kindness.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
Why would we choose a mind of thoughts of death and attack and murder when we can be surrounded in the other mind with safety, love, and joy?
So
there's no danger in this mind, there's only kindness.
What can it choose to be condemned? What can it judge against? Talking about a state of non-judgment. If you remember, that was third characteristic of God's teachers: tolerance, non-judgment. So the world perceives arises from a mind at peace. There's no danger, there's no condemnation. Even though the appearances of the world seem to indicate otherwise, this mind, enlightened mind, has accepted the truth completely and has denied illusions. Okay, so it's pointing us into a very peaceful state. It's a moment of that just now. Quietness, stillness. We read number 4.
The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and perfect love's extension no longer sleeps. Its waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of its source's love and the certain promise that it is freed. The real world signifies the end of time, or its perception makes time purposeless.
Okay. What's he saying in that one?
Well, the real world is a symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and we're no longer asleep. So its waking eyes see reflection of the source's love, where it's certain where you will be freed. And the real world signifies the end of time. It makes time purposeless.
So in the real world, you would simply be in the now. You'd be living in the eternal now moment in which there's no sense of time. It's only now. So if you're rooted in the now, past and future are not there anymore in your perception, then time is purposeless and meaningless. The whole timeline is collapsed. And so you've collapsed one of the dimensions of the matrix, the big one, which is time, time, space. And then your job becomes to unwind space as well, the 3 dimensions of space, by letting go of your attachment to it, of valuing form and space.
Dave England, Dave English Mobile, or one other.
We got a call.
Yeah, it's just Dave. Can I quickly just, because it's quite important, because he's...
Okay. So I'll read number 5. In the original and the alternative. So the Holy Spirit. There's no need of time. Oh, there's John. Good timing. John can read it. Hey, John.
Hi, John. I'm a bit late today.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
excellent. That was good timing. Elaine's just
Oh, right.
take a call from her husband who's in the UK. So it's like, oh, I'll read it, and then you popped in. So if you can read it,
Right.
we're doing the this is the insert on what is the real world. This is
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, good. Good.
So read that in the original and the alternative.
Yes, the Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served his purpose. The remembrance of perfect love has no need for time when it has served its purpose. Now he waits but that one instant more for Now he waits but that one instant more for God to take his final step, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes, and leaving but the truth to be itself. Now it waits just one moment for pure formless awareness of perfect love to take its final step, and then time will disappear, taking perception with it as it goes and leaving only the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. That moment is my goal, for it contains the memory of perfect love. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is He who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity which our forgiveness has restored to us. And as I perceive a world released, it is this presence that calls to me and comes to take me home, reminding me of my identity which my letting go has restored to me.
Oh, so read that in the alternative. On the top.
The remembrance of perfect love has no need for time when it has served its purpose. Now it waits just one moment more for pure formless awareness of perfect love to take its final step, and then time will disappear, taking perception with it as it goes and leaving only the truth to be itself. That moment is my goal, for it contains the memory of perfect love. And as I perceive a world released, it is this presence that calls to me and comes to take me home, reminding me of my identity, which my letting go has restored to me.
Okay, what's he saying in that one?
So it's saying that it's saying that the Holy Spirit is our guide whilst we are in the illusion. But once we let go of the illusion, the Spirit has no more loses its but once we've let go of the illusion, we don't need the Holy Spirit, albeit that it remains, but its function is changed.
Yeah.
And we are.
You don't need a memory, do you? I mean, think about it. If you're in true awareness, let's have a look at this diagram. That makes it pretty obvious. You're just in this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love completely. There's no need for a memory of it anymore because you have the whole thing.
Yeah.
You are in that awareness. You are that awareness. So the Holy Spirit is just the remembrance, the memory of that awareness, which you denied. It's only necessary when you're still denying it and you're trying to find your way back to it. Once you've remembered it, then all of this fades away. This whole ladder of at-one-ment, going back to heaven, to raise you up into the true self via true perceptions, and this is the real world. When you're in the true self, when you're perceiving correctly, then what you perceive in this box from above the battleground is the real world. All of that is part of perception. None of that has any place in heaven, which is just pure formless awareness. There's no form. So it all will be undone. The true self, or the Christ, the Holy Spirit, will just merge back in to God, being pure formless awareness of perfect love. And it all collapses into one. And that's the correct interpretation of the Holy Trinity. Any other interpretation lends itself to separation, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
If you make these into some kind of entities in their own right that are permanent or eternal, then really what you do is you entrench the illusion subtly. So, okay, well now, these are always going to be there because the illusion's always going to be there. So these will always be needed. That's not the purpose of them. They're there, while we need them, but with no emphasis upon them. They're just temporary. It's like training wheels. If you think about if you learn to ride a bike, you had those sort of training wheels, and then you take them off. Once you know how to ride the bike, you don't need them anymore. So they will then be let go of along with everything else in the world of perception. And God takes the final step. He says you just merge back into this awareness from being really identified completely with the true self and perceiving the real world. The next step would be God takes the final step, and really you just merge. I interpret that as you just merge back into that awareness. You're so close to it that there are no blocks anymore, and you just kind of become it and fade away really into it, and there's no need to be in the world anymore, no interest in being in the world. So he prepares us. The training is all about this step, to go from being rooted in the box and the world of illusion, and raising our mind up out of this gutter, so that we identify with the true self and its true perceptions, which are the Holy Spirit, and we perceive the real world. So that strengthens our true self, and we identify more and more with this, so that eventually we're ready for the final step, which God takes. And he doesn't prepare us for that other than saying, well, when you're ready, it'll happen. God takes the final step, and I can't teach you that. That will happen when you're ready, but I can teach you how to climb the ladder from, out of this dream of death and disaster, and back up into this higher state of awareness, which is like a mezzanine level. It's like the intermediate. This is level 2. This is level 1. Okay, there's an intermediate level of the real world, which you can operate in quite happily and peacefully for as long as you're going to remain in this world. Okay, so is that clear? Real world.
Yes,
It's
yes.
a nice, it's just another part of the mind training and the thought system of the Holy Spirit and the Christ, or true self, that he's given us, so we can kind of frame this and understand it. The real world is the world perceived correctly. The world perceived with Christ's vision and only true perceptions, which is a necessary correction for the illusory world. Okay.
Yeah.
Elaine is, I think. Elaine, any thoughts or questions on that?
Yeah, no, that's very clear. Hi, John. Sorry,
Hi, Elaine. Yeah.
Hi. Got some good news. Dave passed his driving test.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
they rang him up.
He got it done.
He got it done. Yeah, they rang up and said, "Would you like to come in this afternoon?" So he did the try. It was 45 minutes practical, and then an hour and a half of theory.
Wow.
Passed.
Okay.
So I didn't expect that, but there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So
did
you
all
can
the
carry on
emergency
driving.
stop. Yeah, and there was snow. The snow there as well. So he did it.
Blimey. Why was he doing a driving test today?
He's had some memory issues, and he was diagnosed with vascular dementia in August there, but it wasn't conclusive, you see. So they needed to find out that he was safe to drive.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's passed. So that's great.
Excellent.
Yeah. So celebrations. I'll be out tonight.
Miracle.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Do you want to join me, the two of you?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Nice and sunny here. It's lovely and sunny, actually.
Yeah.
We had thunderstorm, the worst noise I've ever had. It woke me up, in this great thunderous sound, massive rain, and yet now, glorious sunshine. Isn't it strange?
And warm, yeah. It's cold here.
It is.
What are we looking at? About 0, I think. 2 degrees, it says.
It's 0 in Newcastle. 0, yeah. So, oh well, I'll go and celebrate on my own. I'll think of everybody in the cold.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
so
you've got 19 degrees apparently, according to this, Elaine.
19.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it's about 28 today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not rubbing it in, but
wow.
yeah, I was expecting just all rain, but yeah.
Well, that's tropical weather for you.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I diverse.
Okay. No problem. So clear on the real world. I think it's a useful concept as part of the the whole thought system of the Holy Spirit that he's teaching us. It's the world perceived correctly, with Christ or the true self in charge, and true perceptions, and there's nothing really to be feared or to worry about in that world, because the mind that's healed perceives that none of it's real. Can't really hurt the mind if you don't think it's real. If you really perceive it's all a dream, then so what? It's just a crazy dream. Why would that upset you or be able to hurt you in any way. So, as I was saying to Elaine, the theory is very simple, but the practice of it requires a lot of mind training to detach yourself from your belief in the dream of death, attack, and murder. So that's why we do the mind training. So we increasingly see the real world, and our true self arises with the real world, and our true self is then the necessary step, the bridge to just pure formless awareness of perfect love, in which there's only that awareness, only that one singular loving awareness exists, and nothing else. Okay, so happy with the real world?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we've got another 8 days or so of it. So idea is to read it every day before you do the lesson. So we'll do that in our sessions. So we've done the lesson, John. Really, I think the key takeaway for me was it's happy outcome to all things is certain, all situations is certain, because you can always let go. It doesn't matter what happens on the level of form. If you let it go, then happiness is a given. You will find it, which is why this is true. If you try and interpret on the level of form, you might go, well, that's just not true, because things don't always work out on the level of form as you would like them to. But then you can always let it go and still find the happy outcome. So that's what he's pointing to with this one. Okay, so that's the insert done, the lesson. So there's just some text to do. Text, technically, it's the manual for teachers. So this one is section 9. Section 9 of the manual for teachers, which answers the question, are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers, or in our translated language, perfect love's teachers? So are changes required? Do we have to go through life changes? It's the question. Good question. So let's see what Yeshua has to say. So I think John read the last one. So Elaine, if you can read that in the original and the alternative, please.
Changes are required in the minds of God's teachers. Changes are required in my mind as a teacher of perfect love. This may or may not involve changes in the external situation. This may or may not involve changes in the external situation. Remember that no one is where he is by accident, and chance plays no part in God's plan. Just need to move that up a bit. I remember that no one is where they are by accident, and chance plays no part in perfect love's plan.
Yeah, so that's a good principle to remember. There are no accidents. Even if things are going horribly wrong, it's not accidental. It's actually happening for you to help you awaken from your nightmare. It just doesn't seem like it at the time, because your ego judges it and says this is bad or wrong, and then has an aversion reaction. But if you can rise above the battleground, you see that it's all perfect and it's apparent imperfection, because it's helping you to let go of your belief in this world and in your separate self. That's what it's all for. And so you're on this perfectly designed curriculum for you to awaken. Okay, carry on, number 4.
You need to just bring it down. Yeah. It is most unlikely that changes in attitudes would not be the first step in the newly made teacher of God's training. It is most unlikely that the changes in attitudes would not be in the first step in my training as a newly appointed teacher of perfect love. There is, however, no set pattern, since training is always highly individualized.
Put the however here. So, however. Yeah, read number 5 in the alternative.
However, there is no set pattern, since training is always highly individualized.
Yeah, so we're
There
all
are
on
those who
our
are...
own unique journey, is what he's saying.
Sorry?
We're all on our own unique journey, although we're going to the same destination.
Yeah.
Everyone's journey is highly individualized and unique. So I used the analogy the other day of walking up a mountain. There's many paths up the mountain, and every person's going to find their own way. And sometimes very different ways, but they get to the same summit, and they're in the same place, same view, same experience, because there's only one summit. So it's that idea. But the journey up can be very different, even if you supposedly taking the same way up, say the same spiritual path, like A Course in Miracles. Actually, the way that you're going to take is still highly individualized, because your experience with the course and how it came to you and how you learn it, and is yours, and no one's going to have exactly the same experience. That's what he's pointing out here.
Yeah. There are those who are called upon to change their life situation almost immediately, but these are generally special cases. There are those who are called upon to change their life situation almost immediately, but these are generally special cases.
Okay.
So, by far the majority are given a slowly evolved training program in which as many previous mistakes as possible are corrected. Needs to be lifted up.
Sorry.
By far the majority are given a slowly evolving training program in which as many previous mistakes as possible are corrected. Relationships in particular must be properly perceived and all dark cornerstones of unforgiveness removed. Relationships in particular must be properly perceived and all dark cornerstones of negative thought removed. Thoughts.
Yeah,
Otherwise, the old thought system still has a basis for return. Otherwise, the old thought system, Otherwise, the old thought system still has a basis for return.
Okay, so read that from the top in the alternative.
Changes are required in my mind as a teacher of perfect love. This may or may not involve changes in the external situation. I must remember that no one is where they are by accident, and chance plays no part in perfect love's plan. It is most unlikely that the changes in attitudes would not be the first step in my training as a newly appointed teacher of perfect love. However, there is no set pattern, since training is always highly individualized. There are those teachers who are called upon to change their life situation almost immediately, but these are generally special cases. By far the majority are given a slowly evolving training program in which as many previous mistakes as possible are corrected. Relationships in particular must be properly perceived and all dark cornerstones of negative thought removed. Otherwise, the old thought system still has a basis for return.
So what's he saying in this one, in summary?
Well, changes are required for the mind of a teacher of perfect love. And this can be immediately, but in most cases, it's a slow process. And relationships are the biggest problem.
Yeah, all dark cornerstones of negative thought removed. So we know how sticky the ego can be. You've got a special relationship. You go,
Yes.
oh, I'm enlightened. And then it's like, no, actually, you still got negative thoughts, thoughts of death, attack, murder, anger, hatred, fear, jealousy, rage can all come into the special relationship. And interesting because we're leading up to Christmas. So, it's a time when we all get together as families and the special relationships really get amped up, don't they? So I think a lot of people find it quite challenging for that reason. Because you're with these people, you don't always see them. And it's like, whoa, actually they it's really getting on my nerves or rubbing me up the wrong way. They say, you think you're light and then you go home and, spend some time with your family. And you see whether that's the case or not. Can you remain unmoved and unaffected? So fortunately, this is slowly evolving. It's not sudden for most people. It's gradual. It's evolving, and so you can just kind of chip away. Really, just okay. Well, just chip away at this. Learn this systematically and progressively, day by day, lesson by lesson, section by section, which is exactly what the Arts of Letting Go program does. Just every day you do another section, and that's the logical way to do it, isn't it? It's like just bite-sized chunks. You do it every day, and if you keep doing that in a year, you've done the whole course. But it's a discipline to do that, consistently every day. That's where most people fall down, is they can't sustain that on their own. So hence what I perceived as the need for the programs. Okay, will help people to actually go through this day by day, step by step, lesson by lesson, very systematically. And if you do it every day, you're not going to skip anything. You get the entire course in a year. So it's like a deep clean of the mind. Just very thoroughly cleaning out all of these beliefs through this very disciplined, detailed, systematic course that he's given us. If you do it, if you do the course properly, it is that. It's a very detailed, systematic approach to undoing the ego. Okay, so any other thoughts on number one? I think that's really clear. So sometimes it happens quickly, but for most it's slowly evolving, and we must particularly look at our relationships and let go of the negativity that they still trigger to be truly healed. All right, so move to number two then. John, happy with number one? Any questions on that?
Yeah, happy with that.
Okay, we can read number two in the original and the alternative, please.
As the teacher of God advances in his training, he learns one lesson with increasing thoroughness. As I advance in my teaching as a teacher of perfect love, I learn one lesson with increasing thoroughness.
In my training, my training as a teacher of perfect love.
Yeah. Yes. He does not make his own decisions. He asks his teacher for his answer. and it is this he follows as his guide for action. I do not make my own decisions. I ask my teacher for its answer, and it is this I follow as my guide for action. This becomes easier and easier as the teacher of God learns to give up his own judgment. This becomes easier and easier as I learn to give up my own judgment. The giving up of judgment, the obvious prerequisite for hearing God's voice, is usually a fairly slow process. Not because it is difficult, but because it is apt to be perceived as personally insulting. This becomes easier and easier as I learn to give up my own judgment. The giving up of judgment, the obvious prerequisite for hearing perfect love's voice, is usually a fairly slow process. Not because it is difficult, but because it is apt to be perceived as personally insulting. The world's training is directed toward achieving a goal in direct opposition to that of our curriculum. The world's training is directed towards achieving a goal in direct opposition to that of our own curriculum. The world trains for reliance on one's judgment as the criterion for maturity and strength. The world's training is directed toward achieving a goal in direct opposition to that of our curriculum.
You read that already, yeah. The world trains.
The world trains for reliance on one's judgment as the criteria for maturity and strength. Our curriculum trains for the relinquishment of judgment as a necessary condition of salvation. Our curriculum trains for the relinquishment of judgment as the necessary condition of awakening. So it's saying here that as we progress with the course, we learn one of its principal teaching themes is that we must not make our own decisions, but ask for guidance and look to make decisions with him. Which is difficult to do, especially in the beginning, because we are loath to let go of what we perceive our priorities to be.
Our own judgments, yeah. It feels like we're losing something valuable, you know, it's ourself, because we've defined ourselves by what we think. Our judgments, our opinions, all of that creates a construct of the self that seems to be real. And it seems to be painful to let that go. But, you know, what he's saying is it's much more painful to stay in it, because judgment is like a slow poison in your mind. It just slowly poisons your true awareness, covers it over, and eventually, you know, aging, sickness, and death, all part of that thought system. They're saying, well, let go of your own judgment, your own ideas, perceptions, opinions, beliefs, because they're all false. You know, you believe in a false self and a false world, so it's all false. And you know, be open to pure formless awareness coming in and just reinterpreting everything for you, seeing everything in this, you know, clear, clean, pure formless awareness, which is untainted by the past or the future. Hence being like reborn in the spirit. You know, you're reborn as a baby in this innocence, except that you're able to still function in the world. You know, you've still got the capacity to think and speak and act and, you know, operate in the world quite effectively, but you have the innocence of a little child, as opposed to the pessimism and cynicism that the world trains for. The world's training is, you know, designed to make you increasingly pessimistic, bitter, cynical, depressed, as you get older. And perhaps you've noticed that, John, with some of your friends.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah.
That's because that's the world's training. If you keep on the world's curriculum for a lifetime, once you get to 70, 80, that's what happens. The mind gets very hardened and fixed in its perceptions, and very difficult to dislodge its judgment of the world as not a very nice place, an unfair place, a critical place, an attacking place, a threatening place, and so on. A lifetime of misperceptions, then it's convinced the mind that that's the case, and it's put itself in its own prison, and then won't be released. Like, I want to hang on to my judgments because my experience in this world has told me, a lifetime of experience has told me that this is true. And it's harder to let go of 70, 80 years of experience than it is to let go of 10 or 20 or 30, isn't it? So I think the moral of the story is start young. Start the undoing process when you're young, before your thinking gets calcified, and it becomes very difficult at a later stage to undo it. I think of, let's take particularly my dad, very fixed in egoic perception. There's just no way he's gonna change that now at 86. It's not going to happen. It's going to have to be another life.
Is that not because he just wouldn't want to anyway? It's a case of your desire to.
Yeah,
if he wanted to, then I'm sure
he's never been open to it. His mindset has always been the ego's one for his entire life, and so it's become very hardened and fixed in those perceptions. And then interesting, because then dementia sets in, and we've discussed this before. You go, well, what is dementia then? I think it's just the ego hijacking the mind and just starting to take control completely. So from a spiritual perspective, that's what's really happening. And then, yes, the medics will say, the brain function is degenerating or whatever, but we know that that's not the true cause, that's the effect. The cause is an untrained mind, an undisciplined mind that hasn't learned to, control its thoughts correctly, to perceive correctly. And if it carries on doing that for a lifetime, it gets very entrenched in wrong-minded thinking, and then things happen like dementia and so on, because that's just an expression of that fixation on wrong-minded thinking, and the mind becomes very rigid and dementia insane. Well, it was always insane. It just becomes more overtly so as the aging process happens. But that the thought system was never sane, even in the prime of someone's life in the ego. It's still not sane, and you can't really justify it if you look carefully at it.
But it's never too late.
Oh, yeah, there's no order of difficulty in miracles, so who knows?
Yeah.
But what you observe is the mind is very closed, and so it's not going to willingly learn this. It might, what typically with a mind like that, it would take a great wake-up call, like a shock, a trauma, possibly. That's sometimes what happens.
Hopefully Sally might be one of those, hopefully. My friend Sally.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think from the perspective of being a teacher of perfect love, you're like, well, I'm just here to do my own work. My job is not to try and change anyone, or try and make them enlightened, or hope that they're going to be nothing. It's just, I'm here to do my own work.
Yeah, of course.
I'm here to let go of my misperceptions. So if I get triggered, by Sally or whoever, or my dad, then that's my own stuff to deal with. It's not about them, it's about me. And if I can take that responsibility, then I'm clean and clear, and it doesn't really matter what they do. They will get it in their own time. They can carry on in their limited state, but it's just not affecting me because I don't perceive it as real. So I rise above it and perceive it correctly, and then I'm above the battleground. And this is what he's pointing us to, as teachers of perfect love. So John, I don't think you read that actually in the alternative again. If you can read that, you sort of
No, I didn't. Yeah.
read it to make sure we're good with it.
Yeah. As I advance in my training as a teacher of perfect love, I learn one lesson with increasing thoroughness. I do not make my own decisions, but instead I ask my teacher for its answer, and it is this I follow as my guide for action. This becomes easier and easier as I learn to give up my own judgment. The giving up of judgment, the obvious prerequisite for hearing perfect love's voice, is usually a fairly slow process. Not because it is difficult, but because I am apt to perceive it as personally insulting. The world's training is directed toward achieving a goal in direct opposition to that of our curriculum. The world trains for reliance on one's judgment as the criteria for maturity and strength. Our curriculum trains for the letting go of judgment as a necessary condition of awakening.
Let me just personalize that. Trains me to let go of judgment as the necessary condition of my awakening. So yeah, any other thoughts on that? You gave some comments. I think the last two maybe deserve a bit of comment. The world trains for reliance on your judgment, and we encourage to
I
have
think it's
that
I
kind
think
of
it's
judgment.
I think it's saying that we will the proof of the pudding will show up as we practice following our guidance, and as we increasingly see that it takes us to better places, we will trust it more.
Yeah. So initially it's quite hard, but as we do it, we go, well, actually, this is kind of working. It's not the disaster my ego told me it would be. It's actually quite happy. It's quite peaceful. I'm finding a sense of flow. I'm seeing miracles, essentially. I'm seeing things, starting to actually work better. And then we start to learn through that process that, okay, well, actually, this does work. In fact, it works a lot better than my old thought system based on judgment and guilt and sin and judgment and fear and attack and so on. And so experientially we learn it, by practicing it. I think that's really the key point of this whole course. You only learn this by practicing it, and applying these teachings in your life then teaches you the lessons you need to learn and prepares you for the next ones. It's not a theoretical exercise. It's very much about application into your daily life. And that's to truly live the course. We study the theory so that we can become more rooted in it and understand it so we can apply it, but for no other reason. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, any other thoughts on number 2 or on that section? Let's just do a quick summary of it. So Elaine, if you can read that personalized executive summary of those 2 paragraphs and 1 paragraph.
As a teacher of perfect love, I understand that significant changes in my mindset are necessary. Though these may not always reflect in my external circumstances, I am aware that everyone's placement in life is part of pure formless awareness of perfect love's plan, not random. My training often starts with a shift in attitude and is highly individualized.
It just needs a bit of change for my training. Sometimes ensure perfect love may experience a sudden change in circumstances part of their journey of awakening. Majority but for the majority of teachers, a gradual process where previous errors, especially in relationships, are corrected. This training is highly individualized. Often starts with the shift in attitude. So, a good example would be the course itself. The attitude of Helen and Bill, which is very egoic by their own admission, just shifted in a moment. And Bill said, "Well, this isn't working. This is crazy, really, and there must be a better way." And so their training program started with an adjustment in attitude and a willingness to explore something else. It wasn't like massive life change, but that small change in attitude is what invited Yeshua and the Holy Spirit to come in and give the whole course. So that's a good example of just a small shift in attitude. He's on his way to disciplinary hearing. He's just like, I'm tired of this. There's got to be a better way. And then Helen shifts as well and says, yeah, actually, I agree with you. There must be a better way. I don't know what it is, but, I'll help you find it. So now suddenly there's, from being very, in conflict and having quite a relationship of animosity, they join in that moment in a common purpose of finding a better way. And that happened in, a minute, probably. They had a small conversation. That shift in attitude kicked off this whole profound process of, the Course in Miracles being transcribed to her, and then subsequently it's become a major teaching, and here we are, studying it. So just that, from a small shift in attitude, look at what is possible. So it doesn't always have to be a major change in life circumstances. It can happen. Example be someone like Ajay Shanti. He's one of the best known teachers in the US. He said when he was 25, he remembers sitting on a park bench, and he kind of said, "Okay, I'm ready. Whatever it takes to become enlightened, I'll do it. So give me whatever I need." And he said, that kicked off a process of 7 years of extremely challenging, difficult circumstances in his life, which was obviously what he needed. He needed to overcome all of that difficulty in order to awaken. So that was his highly individualized curriculum. And his life circumstances did change because that's what he needed at that time. For others, it's just a slowly evolving. You're still in the same life situation. Nothing's really changed, but you're changing your mindset within that life situation. And that, he says, is, you know, by far the majority. Okay. So then, John, if you can read that next paragraph.
The key lesson I learned is to not rely on my own decision making, but to seek guidance from my teacher. A process that challenges my ingrained beliefs and habits. This relinquishment of personal judgment, contrasting with worldly training, is essential for my awakening.
Yeah, my teacher, which is, so the teacher is just the remembrance of perfect love. You know, that's now becomes your guide and teacher. Remembrance of my teacher, the remembrance of perfect, remembrance of teacher, remembrance of perfect love, remembrance of perfect love. Versus challenge my ingrained beliefs and habits. This letting go of personal judgment, contrasting with worldly training is essential for my working. Contrasting with, let me say in stark contrast. In the training of the world. And so again, he's telling you, you know, you can't undertake both forms of training. If you're training in two different ways, two different curriculums, you can't hope to learn because they contradict each other. So the letting go of personal judgment in his curriculum is essential for my awakening. Letting go of my personal judgments. And by judgments, he means you know, things that are critical, condemnatory within the dream. So what judgment does is it makes the dream real. You look on the dream and you say that's real, and therefore, you know, it's not good. I have an aversion reaction to it. I condemn it. It's bad, or it has some reality. You know, that's what you're doing with judgment, isn't it? Judgment is the process of giving meaning and value to the illusion. That could be quite a good definition of it. And it's always condemnatory in nature. It says that's bad, that's wrong, that shouldn't have happened. And so it makes it real. And it makes the ego's thought system of, you know, if something went wrong, something bad really did happen, and that's real. It makes that then all real in your mind. So it's very subtle, but very insidious. You know, it's this thread of misery that runs through our lives. And we're not even aware that this is actually the cause of so much misery. Until we come on a course like this, and then, you know, we start to become very aware because he's pointing it out to us all the time. Okay, so then just the key message, which is overall summary of the whole thing. John, if you can read that.
Yeah. The key lesson I learned is to not rely on my own decision making, but seek guidance from my teacher, a process that challenges my ingrained beliefs and habits. This letting go of my personal judgments is essential for my awakening.
Yeah, I think that summarizes quite nicely.
It does.
Just you know, letting go of your own judgment. And trusting this guidance. Letting go of my personal judgments is essential for my awakening. Otherwise, I continue, you know, personal judgments, the persona, the false self. I continue to believe in that self whenever I judge according to that self. That's how it works. So the judgment just reinforces that self exists, and that self then will judge some more, and that self stays separate from everyone and everything else, because that's what it thinks it is. And all of those judgments form your karma. You die with all of that still intact. You must come back to play out that karma. In other words, to carry on judging as your mind wants to. Well, you come to a world where you get plenty of opportunity to judge, don't you? But it starts to make sense then why we reincarnate. Does it make sense to you? It's like, well, that's the nature of the mind. The mind has these judgments, these desires, and it has to play them out some way. It can't stay in pure formless awareness and have those judgments. So it has to come here in order to have an experience that allows it to carry on judging as it wants to. And so it comes into a world, it gives it all the opportunity that it seeks for these judgments. Seemingly now the judgments are justified by the world. You see how clever it is. But actually the problem is the judgments. The world is just a symptom of the problem. The world is the effect of those judgments, not the cause. So cause and effect have become inverted. And we've just got to see, what is truly the cause and what's truly the effect, to be free of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that, Elaine?
Well
No,
summarized.
it's very clear.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Again, I'm enjoying this manual for teachers because it's quite profound. These are simple, two simple paragraphs, but actually what he's pointing to is very deep. It takes you, into the whole non-dual teaching and no judgment, and
I do actually like the manual for teachers. So the way the vocabulary is presented and everything, it's very meaningful with much less kind of entanglement in words, and
it's a bit of an easier read than the text. That's for
it is, yeah.
Because it's the FAQs, it's designed for explanatory purposes. In this course, if you're designing a course, okay, well, there might be questions that people have, so let me try and answer those questions as clearly as possible, without departing from any of the metaphysics. But he doesn't go as much into the some of those text readings. I remember, wow, it was heavy going. It's like, especially if you do translation. Anyway, we've done all that. So yeah, that brings us to the end. We could do a meditation on this if you want. I don't mind doing a quick meditation on the summary. John, you didn't get one. Elaine's already had one. Or we can just end the session now.
It's up to John. I mean, I must admit, when you did the meditation before, I did have a bit of a nap, actually. So I do apologize.
Okay.
I'm happy to end now, actually.
Are you? Okay.
Well, no, I'm happy to do a meditation. Yeah.
It's a short one, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll do it, 15, 20 minutes just on the summary, and the key message. All right. So let's just get some recording going on this. All right, so this is a meditation on the summary of section 9, the manual for teachers, that answers the question, are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers or perfect love's teachers? So close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in. Just set yourself into an altered state. The breath we always start with the breath, and the breath carries us through the meditation. So nice deep breath in through the nose, stomach rises, chest rises. Pinch the sphincter muscle, lock the energy in, draw the energy up your spine to your heart center. Put one hand on your heart. And draw it up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile, you scan your mind for any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations. Remind yourself that a happy outcome to all of these situations is certain, because I can choose to let them all go. That's why a happy outcome that underlies them is always certain. It relies on my willingness and ability to let go. So right now I exhale. Out through the mouth. Blowing it out like a dark cloud of black smoke out of your mouth. Finding a sense of calm and peace and stillness. Quiet mind. You've emptied your vessel. So you open your mind to the truth. And so you're just going to breathe in as I speak these words. This is the personalized executive summary, first person. So it comes an affirmation of the key points of this short section. So you breathe it in. So breathing in, pause as you hold the breath, listen to my words, and then when I pause, you speak the words as affirmations. Breathe out through your nose as you do that. And you pause briefly and then go into the next inhale and repeat the cycle. I breathe in, I speak as you breathe in, and then when I pause, you exhale and speak the words. So let's give that a go. And this is an answer to the question or changes required in changes required in the life situation of guides or perfect love's teachers. Let's hear what Yesh has to say in response to that. So breathe in, pause, hold the breath. So as a teacher of perfect love, I understand that significant changes in my mindset are necessary. Breathing in again. So these may not always reflect in my external circumstances. And exhale on the truth of that as you speak those words. Breathing in again. So I'm aware that everyone's situation in life, including my own, is part of perfect love's plan. Awakening and not random. Part of perfect love's plan for my awakening, and it's not random. So exhale on the truth of that. Just going a bit deeper with each breath into the peace that this points you to. Just deep peace and stillness of perfect love. Breathing in again. And sometimes a teacher of perfect love may experience a sudden change in circumstances as part of their journey of awakening. So exhale, repeat that. Sometimes that may happen. Teacher of perfect love may experience a sudden change in circumstances. That is possible. But for the majority of teachers, it's a gradual process. Where previous errors, especially in relationships, are corrected. Breathing in again. So this training is highly individualized and often starts with a shift in attitude. So your training, not someone else's training. Training is highly individualized. Often starts with just a shift in attitude. So the key lesson I must learn is not to rely on my own decision making, but to seek guidance from my teacher, which is the remembrance of perfect love. The lesson is not to rely on my own decision making, but to seek guidance from my own teacher. Remembrance of perfect love. It's my own loving awareness. This process challenges my ingrained beliefs and habits. Ambition, shall we say, habits and beliefs, values, beliefs, and habits. Breathing in, so this letting go of my personal judgments, stark contrast to the training of the world. Letting go of my personal judgments in stark contrast to the training of the world, which trains you to get more attached. In stark contrast to the training of the world, I must let go of my personal judgments. In order to awaken. Just breathing in again. So the key lesson I must learn is not to rely on my own decision making, seek guidance from the moments of perfect love. So must ask for guidance from the moments of perfect love of the Holy Spirit, process that challenges my ingrained beliefs. Conditioned values, beliefs, and habits. Just letting go. Letting go of my personal judgments is essential for my awakening. So on that note, just rest in the certainty, the happy certainty today's lesson promises. When you let go of your personal judgments, you can't fail to awaken, because what's left is just pure, formless awareness of perfect love, which is your essence. And nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just sit quietly, be still, breathe, relax, and sink into your role as awakened teacher of God or perfect love. Going down, sinking inward, observe the breath flowing in and out through the nostrils to keep your mind calm, clear, quiet, just running away and thinking about arbitrary things as it does. If any thoughts come in that seem to disturb this deep peace, find yourself that only by letting go of my personal judgments will I wake up. I don't want to be asleep all my life, so and blow any negative thoughts away with the breeze of your breath. Breathe in the light. Imagine a beautiful golden or white light infusing every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light. And you just free float in that light. It's beautiful, peaceful. And sinking deeper with each breath, going deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper into still, calm, quiet, peaceful state. Awareness, which we call surrender, surrender to God, surrender to perfect love, your own true awareness. It means letting go of all of your values, beliefs, goals, desires, dreams, habits, and so on. Opening the way to spirit. And so just coming back gently in this connected state of awareness. So on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pause at the top of the inhale. Smile and you scan your mind. Notice thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on. Particularly anything that feels at all unpleasant, negative, unhappy, and remind yourself today's lesson. Happy outcome to all situations is sure. And then blow it away. Like a dark cloud, just being blown away by the breeze of your breath. The cloud has no power to obscure sky, which is symbolic of pure formless awareness, or the sun, which is the source light that shines through that awareness. So just let it go, blow it away. Notice you exhale, air flowing out, the chest and the stomach suck back in, weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Breathe in again, notice any subtle smell in your nose as you do that, perhaps a taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment, but without judgment. Say the relinquishment of judgment, essential for my awakening. So let that go and just stay in this nice, calm, clear, empty, spacious awareness, which is non-judgment. So it is said, so it is done. Now on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around. Observing what's going on in the room. It's a very calm, clear, connected state. Notice the awareness you had the last 20 minutes or so is still there. It's nice, calm, peaceful awareness is with you, even though your eyes are open. You can close your eyes. Maybe as you do that, you drop a bit more into that awareness, but you notice that it's there, and you open your eyes. Notice that that same awareness has really not shifted one iota. So look around and notice that awareness, whether your eyes are open or closed, whatever object you happen to look at, doesn't really matter. So you're teaching your mind that that awareness is always there. It's constant. It's always accessible. Course states that in less than 30 years, guide this awareness, this loving awareness goes with me wherever I go because it's in my mind. You cannot lose it if it's in your mind. So just really anchor that awareness and this understanding in. Set the intention to stay in this awareness. To help you do that, you could top yourself up with today's lesson. Use one of the breath break that I sent you. Listen to that, and there's a couple of longer meditations as well, which you can do later on this afternoon or evening. That should keep you in this deeper awareness, beyond judgment, and in awareness of perfect love, which is your true nature. So that brings us to the end of meditation and the session. So thank you, John and Elaine, for joining, and I wish you a good weekend. I'll see you again.
Yeah, have a nice weekend, both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, see you again on Sunday.
Yeah.
If we did a Sunday afternoon session, would that work?
I think so.
I'm not 100% sure there because I go for long walks with the dogs,
Right.
and I'm not sure there, so not 100% sure.
Something like 2 o'clock. It just means that I've got the evening free. Anyway, I'll put it out there on Sunday. Watch the
Yeah,
Telegram.
will do. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Okay,
Have a lovely
thank you.
weekend.
Have a nice
Okay.
week.
Thanks,
Bye.
John.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thanks, John.
Bye, John.
John. Cheers. Bye-bye. Have a
Bye.
nice weekend, Elaine. Bye. Okay, so that's a wrap for today. Thank you to John and Elaine for joining. If you enjoyed the session and you'd like to join us in the Zoom room, feel free to do that. There's a masterclass I'm running next year in January. So you can find that link below. Click the link or go to theaolg.com in your browser and you can register for it. It's a free masterclass which will give you much more insight into what this whole process is about. We're starting the Art of Letting Go course and program again in February next year. It's a 1-year intensive mind training process to completely change your mind and your life. So that sounds interesting. Go register theaolg.com. You can also get a daily inspirational quote and one of the lessons of the course from me via Telegram. So there's a link below to do that. Go to lifebuild.com. It's lifebuild.com. And finally, if you haven't already signed up for the channel, subscribe to the channel to be notified whenever I go live, which is 6 days a week. And next year I'll be uploading some other interesting videos as well. So I hope to catch you on the inside. Wishing you a good weekend, and namaste, which means the true non-judgmental self in me acknowledges and honors that same true non-judgmental self in you. Peace in that self.